off the coast of southwest Florida, deep within the labyrinth of the 10,000 islands. There's a place shrouded in whispers and shadowed by fear, an island that appears on maps but is avoided by all who know its story. This place is called Lostman's Key, to the unsuspecting tourist. It's just another tangle of mangrove roots and saltwater channels, teeming with life. But the locals, the seasoned fishermen who have spent their lives navigating these waters, they know the truth. They know that Lostman's Key is not a place you visit, it's a place you escape. And no one, absolutely no one, stays there after the sun dips below the horizon. Our story takes us back to 1989. In a small, weathered fishing village nearby, lived a ferry captain named Rosa Alvarez. Rosa was different. While other boaters tied up their vessels as twilight approached, she prepared for her final journey of the day. She was a woman carved from the sun and salt of the Gulf, her face a map of countless tides and storms. And she was the only one brave enough, or perhaps foolish enough, to travel to Lostman's Key at night. Every single evening, just as the last light faded from the sky, Rosa would cast off the lines of her old, tired ferry, the Wanderer. This trip was an anomaly, a ghostly ritual that baffled everyone. It was a trip she never charged a single cent for. And stranger still, it was a trip that no one ever claimed to take. When questioned, Rosa's answers were as murky as the waters she navigated. She'd look out towards the horizon, her eyes seeing something others couldn't, and say she was ferrying voices. She claimed they called to her from the thick, rolling fog that often blanketed the islands. Lost souls, she said, whispering for help, begging for a way to get home. She believed she was their only guide, their only passage from the spectral shores of the Key, back to a peace they could never find. The villagers would shake their heads, murmuring about the toll the lonely sea takes on a mind. They thought she was eccentric, touched by the isolation of her life. But they also held a quiet respect for her, a sense of awe for her strange self-appointed duty. They watched her leave each night, a solitary figure at the helm, disappearing into the growing darkness. And they would wait, always relieved to see the dim light of her ferry returning before dawn. One fateful October night, the sky turned a bruised, angry purple. A storm was rolling in fast from the Gulf, the kind that whips the water into a frenzy and tears at the coastline. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of rain and ozone. The wind howled through the rigging of the docked boats, a mournful song of warning. Everyone secured their homes and vessels, preparing for the worst. But not Rosa. Despite the churning seas and the pleas of her neighbors, she untied the Wanderer. She was determined to make her nightly run. She said the voices were louder tonight, more desperate than she had ever heard them. She couldn't abandon them, not now. The villagers watched from their windows as her small ferry, a single lantern glowing on its mast, chugged away from the safety of the dock. It pitched violently in the growing swells, a tiny, defiant light against the immense, churning blackness. The ferry drifted into the storm, swallowed by the rain and the night, and was never seen returning to port. The storm passed, leaving a trail of debris and an unsettling silence. But Rosa and her ferry were gone. For days, the Coast Guard and local fishermen mounted a massive search. They combed every channel, every inlet, every hidden cove within the 10,000 islands. The community held its breath, hoping for a miracle. A week later, a search team found the Wanderer. It was adrift in a calm, secluded bay, miles from its usual route, nestled eerily against the mangroves of a nameless island. The boat was strangely pristine. Engine was off. The anchor was still up, meaning it had simply drifted to a stop. It was completely empty. But as the search team stepped aboard, they found something that chilled them to the bone. On the damp, wooden deck, there was a set of wet footprints. They led from the center of the deck directly to the edge, and then they just stopped. They weren't Rosa's boot prints. They were the prints of bare feet, small, frighteningly small, like those of a child. Of Rosa, there was no sign at all. Ever since that night, the legend of Lostman's Key has grown, its roots twisting deeper into Florida folklore. Boaters who find themselves near the island after dark tell strange tales. They speak of an unnerving chill in the air, a sudden drop in temperature that has no natural cause. And then, they hear it. A faint, distant sound carried on the wind, echoing through the dense skeletal branches of the mangroves. The clear, haunting chime of a bell, Rosa's bell. They say it's her ghost, forever sailing those dark waters, still calling for her passengers. The lost voices she tried to save, or perhaps, the voices that lured her to her doom. And there's a darker warning, a rule that every local knows by heart. If you're out on the water at night and you see a single dim lantern light drifting slowly across the water, looking like a lost boat seeking its way, you turn your own vessel and you leave, immediately. Don't call out, don't flash your own light, and whatever you do, do not wave back. Because the few who have, hoping to offer help, were never seen or heard from again. They say waving back is an invitation, an acceptance of passage on a ferry that has only one final destination. It seems Rosa is still ferrying souls, Only now, she's looking for a new crew. So if your travels ever take you to the beautiful, wild coast of Southwest Florida, enjoy the sunshine, explore the islands. But when the sun begins to set, and the shadows of the mangroves grow long and start to look like grasping fingers, remember the story of Rosa Alvarez and the Last Ferry to Lostman's Key? Heed the warnings whispered on the sea breeze. Stay in the light, and stay away from the places that belong to the night. Because some stories aren't just stories, they're warnings. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed diving into mysteries and folklore, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next adventure. Until next time, stay curious.